Everything else is going completely fine, but that one guy is just completely out of the game, man. So hello gamers, and welcome to 10 common misconceptions in Phantom Forces. There are quite a few things that people do just say and not actually look too much into, and sometimes there are just things that people say that are just flat out wrong. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about 10 of these things that just happen constantly in Phantom Forces. Like, I see this in every lobby. Let's get into it. So our first and biggest thing, I've already talked about this before, is that folding grip does not reduce recoil. Now that might sound a little bit weird to you. Let me explain. So basically, Stubby Grip lowers overall recoil. Folding grip does lower recoil, however, it only lowers camera recoil. So yes, your gun will look like it has less recoil, but it will actually be less accurate than using Stubby Grip, but it won't be too bad. It has no negative effect on recoil, except for hipfire, because it does increase hipfire recoil a little bit, but in general, it's not bad to use. In fact, it's really nice to use because you have lower camera recoil, so it is pretty good on a ton of guns. However, overall, you're going to want to use Stubby Grip on most of your guns, because Stubby Grip is the one that actually lowers recoil and makes the gun more accurate. So that is why you see Stubby Grip on guns like the M16A3, which already have really low camera recoil, because it just makes them more accurate, and there's like no downside because the camera recoil is already pretty much non-existent on the M16A3, as you can tell. Like, there's no camera recoil at all. It's not even a very accurate gun, it just doesn't have any camera recoil. If you want more information on something like Stubby Grip, pistol grip, and everything else, I do have a no recoil guide, so you guys can watch that if you want to. Another thing that I did talk about in tips and tricks part 3 is that the AKM is actually less accurate, only slightly, than the AK-47, but it has way less camera recoil. So it's actually about the same accuracy. If you run Stubby Grip on the AKM, it's about the same as folding grip on the AK-47. However, Stubby Grip on the AK-47 has better recoil. The reason I don't recommend Stubby Grip on the AK-47 is because it has awful camera recoil, and the AKM has very little. That's why the AKM feels like it has less recoil, is because it just doesn't really have a lot of camera recoil. But it's hard to see where you're shooting, which is why camera recoil is pretty annoying at times, but it's actually about the same accuracy, so it's really interesting. Overall, AKM is better in some ways, and I do recommend AKM, not over AK-47 perhaps, but this guy's just gone. He's just out of the game. Everything else is going completely fine, but that one guy is just completely out of the game, man. Holy. Like I said, the AKM is not bad. It's just a common misconception that I hear about a lot. I thought I'd clear that up in a video, even though I already have, but it is a very common one. That's why it's going in 10 common misconceptions. Next up is a different grip that does have a very common misconception, which is that the vertical grip doesn't actually reduce recoil. In fact, it increases recoil. This is very important for basically anybody who's new to the game. As you can see, this actually has quite a bit more kick, and that's what the vertical grip does. It increases kick, so it increases recoil. And you might be wondering, so why would I ever use it? This actually makes your hip fire better, but as you can see, it's not very effective on pretty much anything that doesn't have pretty low recoil to begin with. But you will notice that my hip fire is actually a little bit better. The thing is, it's not a big enough difference, and the fact that basically any assault rifle just isn't very good in hipfire to begin with. This doesn't really improve guns that have bad hipfire that much. It basically just makes guns that already have good hipfire have really good hipfire. For example, M3A1, L2A3, UMP45, all those guns, basically all PAWs, except the fast firing ones, are very good with vertical grip if you only hipfire. Vertical grip does make your recovery speed better, which can be helpful on DMRs, I guess, but it also makes your actual recoil higher. So overall, I just wouldn't really recommend vertical grip. Even when it's the only grip you have, I just don't recommend it. The only guns it's okay on, or like this guy's M3A1, it's actually pretty good on, and maybe faster firing guns that have pretty low initial kick. Definitely not an AK though. Do not use a vertical grip on an AK. Another misconception I hear is that the Hikate and other 50 cals have the fastest velocity in the game. This is not actually true. They can have very high velocity, especially with 416 Barrett, some of the highest in the game. However, default 50 cal is only 3,000 studs per second. The intervention has 3,200, and yeah, they aren't the highest in the game, and they're not even significantly faster than other snipers. For example, the TRG has the same velocity as them, but yeah, it is a very fast velocity, but just not the fastest in the game. So I thought I would mention that. The reason for this is because 50 cal bullets are very large. It's a big bullet, so it actually travels kind of slower, but not super slow since it's very powerful as well. .17 Wildcat is the fastest, or the railgun is also faster, but you can't really get that in game. Another thing is about the Stubby Grip, because I feel like a ton of the myths in this game are on the grips. Angled grip is like a folding grip that's worse. It has worse downsides and not as much upside. I would not recommend the angled grip that often. Overall, folding grip is basically a better version. However, Stubby Grip is the best grip in the game. The upside of it is it actually smooths overall recoil, and people say it reduces horizontal recoil, I think, and increases vertical, but that's not true. Folding grip doesn't change recoil, and this just reduces all types of recoil, which makes it very good on low camera recoil guns like an AUG, because it just makes them more accurate. It's also good on M16A3, any DMR or sniper rifle if you got to deal with the recoil, but obviously there are downsides to it, like slower aim down sight speed, and skeleton grip is probably going to be better on most snipers and some DMRs. But yeah, Stubby Grip, if you want to lower recoil, this is your best bet. It just lowers recoil. I don't know how to put it any other way. The downside of it is that it makes your recoil higher when you hip fire. However, it makes your hip fire accuracy better. This is something that I've heard a lot of people talk about and a lot of people not talk about. And I'm going to clear this up. If by the time this video comes out, the shotgun nerf is in the main game, this will no longer be a problem. So it is worth mentioning. However, at the moment, if you have the skeleton grip, it makes your spread worse. This should be fixed in the next update when they change how shotgun spread works. But right now, since your crosshair size is increased with the skeleton grip, it actually makes your spread worse. This is a very large problem because the upside is not very good, you know? You just have worse spread. So there's really no reason to not just avoid using the skeleton grip on every shotgun. I would never use skeleton grip on any shotgun for any reason. It just makes your shotgun pretty like I'm using the KS23M, and this is pre-nerf, and it's not like killing as far as it normally does, because it has worse spread. But like I said, when the shotguns get nerfed, they're actually just going to have one spread factor instead of having like a combination of velocity, choke, crosshair size, and everything that they have right now, which makes them very inconvenient and complicated. And that's why they're going to fix that, which is very cool. Another misconception that I've heard quite a bit is about the muffler and oil filter. So muffler was added before oil filter, and this reduces your RPM by 10%. When the oil filter first came out, people were saying it makes your gun shoot slower by 20%. This is not actually true. It's only 15%. Maybe it was that way in the test place. I'm not actually too sure. Basically, at the moment, it's 15% reduced, along with a ton of other really annoying downsides, why I don't really recommend the oil filter. And the slower RPM can be nice, but 10% is already a thing on the muffler. Another thing is the accuracy bars, which people put a little bit too much faith into, I would say. You have accuracy, hip accuracy, and sight accuracy. You have your overall accuracy, right? Your sight accuracy and hip accuracy. You would think that the accuracy bar would increase when I had compensator on. However, this is without, and this is with compensator. So it's actually making the bar a little bit lower. Why would it lower accuracy? I'm not sure. It actually lowers all types of accuracy, which is not true. It makes the gun more accurate. Definitely compensator is very helpful in the G3. But then I have compensator, right, and has these accuracy bars. And then I switch to muzzle booster, and my accuracy doesn't change. Basically, what this means is that accuracy bars are not necessarily going to do you pretty well. Muzzle booster is obviously not as accurate as compensator. Everybody knows this. Muzzle booster increases recoil by a ton. I'm gonna be so mad if they're spawn camping me. Okay, so here we have that. That's with compensator. And this is with muzzle booster, as you can see. It's quite a bit worse. All I'm saying here is be mindful of the accuracy bars. Then we have the next one, which is people talking about a lot of suppressors, specifically the ARS suppressor for some reason, saying it makes your recoil lower. If you don't know what ARS suppressor does, basically it lowers muzzle velocity and lowers minimum damage by quite a bit. People for some reason are saying that this is more accurate than comp, but obviously it is not. You can probably tell by the recoil of this gun, it's not going to be that accurate, as you can see. However, switching over to compensator, we have a little bit more tight spread. I don't know why people are saying ARS suppressor is good on guns. Remember, it does lower minimum damage by quite a bit, which means on the MP7, it makes you 7-hit kill it range instead of 6, which is very annoying. You don't want a 6-hit kill it range. Finally, we have something very important. Personally, I fell for this trap. When I saw that the M16A3 first came out, I saw 19.8 damage. I said, oh, it rounds up and it's a 5-hit kill. However, this is not true. A player can actually take part of a damage point, but it doesn't round up. If you have a gun that does 33.34 damage, for example, C72 762 by 39. Yes, this does 3-hit kill. Doesn't round the damage up or down. If it rounded it down, this would be a 4-hit kill. Also, something like the intervention, 90 times 1.11 is 99.9. This is actually not the real damage it does. It actually does, I think, 10/9 or something. It has a weird torso multi that is actually a fraction. It means it's a repeating decimal point forever, which in game sense translates to 99.9999999. That's a very interesting thing. Basically, all you need to know is that if you add together all the damage and it hits 100, it will be that many hits to kill, which is very important on certain guns, like for example M16A3, which will be a 6-shot kill because 19.8 times 5 is not 100. I hope you guys enjoyed. This is just 10 common misconceptions and phantom forces, but I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.